Hello everyone, welcome back. You're watching WION World is One. This is World DNA, the show that gets you ahead of the rest. I'm Shivan Chandra.
And I'm Raisha Sehgal. On the show today, G20 leaders in Brazil released a leaders' declaration underscoring the many problems facing the global community, from armed conflicts to climate change and other major issues. They've now called for constructive initiatives on the Ukraine war and also for a ceasefire in the conflict in West Asia. We will get you the latest on the show today.
Also on the show, we get you the latest from West Asia, where Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that his military will continue to operate against Iran-backed Hezbollah, even if a ceasefire deal is reached. This and a lot more lined up for you right here on World DNA. Let's start with the headlines.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel will continue military action against Hezbollah in Lebanon even after any ceasefire deal.
US President-elect Donald Trump nominates former Wisconsin representative and Fox News host Sean Duffy as Transportation Secretary.
G20 leaders in Brazil approve joint declaration calling for comprehensive ceasefires in Gaza and Lebanon. Welcome constructive initiatives for peace in Ukraine.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi urges G20 to focus on challenges on fuel, food and fertilizers. Holds bilateral meetings with leaders of UK, France, Italy and others.
Air pollution level remains in hazardous level in Delhi. Schools, colleges suspend physical classes in Indian capital and neighbouring cities amid worsening air quality.
Two-time Grand Slam champion Rafael Nadal gears up for the final tournament of his illustrious career. The 38-year-old says he aims to help Spain win the Davis Cup in Malaga.
G20 leaders meeting in Rio de Janeiro have called for a comprehensive ceasefires in both Gaza and Lebanon.
Well, they also welcomed all constructive initiatives supporting durable peace in Ukraine. In their joint declaration, G20 leaders called for a US proposed permanent ceasefire in Gaza in return for the release of all hostages, as well as a Lebanon ceasefire that enables citizens to return safely to their homes on both sides of the blue line.
However, the G20 leaders failed to reach a breakthrough on stalled climate talks by not committing any funding to help developing countries cope with global warming.
The Global Alliance Against Hunger empowera instituições financeiras e 31 fundações.
Meanwhile, speaking at the session titled Social Inclusion and the Fight Against Hunger and Poverty, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi said that the global south was most adversely impacted by food, fuel and fertilizer crisis caused by these conflicts. So he underlined that the discussions at the summit would only be fruitful when the challenges and priorities of the global south are kept in mind.
On the sidelines of the summit, Prime Minister Modi met his British counterpart Keir Starmer. Prime Minister Modi and Starmer discussed ways to keep working closely in areas such as technology, green energy, security and innovation.
Also, To strengthen trade and cultural linkages, the Indian Prime Minister also separately met French President Emmanuel Macron and Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. Moreover, he shared a picture with US President Joe Biden and said it's always a delight to meet him. Meanwhile, Biden missed a photo with G20 leaders after the summit organizers proceeded without him.
Biden and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau were seen arriving at the waterside location just as their fellow world leaders were dispersing. The White House said that the picture got taken earlier than planned due to logistical issues. And well, for more on this, we are now being joined by Dr. Charles Kupchin. He's joining us live from Washington, D.C. He's a senior fellow at the Council on Foreign Relations and International Affairs expert. Welcome to World DNA, Dr. Kupchin.
Good to be with you.
Dr. Kupchin, first up, talk to us about how the war in Ukraine and the conflict in West Asia took a center stage at the 19th G20 summit, with the G20 declaration outlining constructive initiatives for peace in Ukraine and, of course, ceasefire in Gaza.
Well, I think there are two looming issues that frame the Ukraine debate at the G20. One of them is the arrival in a couple of months of Donald Trump, who has said that he is going to make a determined effort to end the war, to negotiate a ceasefire, said he could do it within 24 hours. That's probably naive, but he will make an attempt to do so after several long years of death and destruction. And the other big development is the decision by the Biden administration to authorize deep strikes inside Ukraine using what we call ATACMS weapons. These are longer range missiles, go about 200 miles, 300 kilometers. And we don't know when or where the Ukrainians are going to use these, but it does have the potential to escalate. Mr. Putin has said, if Ukraine uses these weapons, we will consider ourselves to be at war with the West. So these are two issues that are looming over the discussions in Rio.
Dr. Kupchin, what weight does this declaration hold when just a day prior, what you just mentioned, and the reports have also suggested that US has green-lighted the use of these ATACMS to target deep inside Russia, which is a clear red line for Russia. What bearing does this declaration have when this is the latest green light which Ukraine has now received, which only means there is going to be a major escalation which we haven't seen in the last nearly 3 years?
Well, I think what is motivating President Biden is that this is his last chance. And as a consequence, the U.S. is trying to rush the $7 billion in aid that has still not yet arrived, but been authorized by Congress, and has and authorized the use of these longer range weapons. By and large, the G20 favors a negotiated end to the war. Most of the members of the G20 have not taken clear sides, especially in the global south. There's a sense that this is a war that has caused high energy prices, high fuel prices. But the declaration doesn't have a great deal of meaning. I think in the end of the day, what we are going to see unfold early next year is an effort by Mr. Trump to negotiate between Putin and Zelensky and to get some kind of deal. That's in the spirit of the G20 declaration, but between now and then, we may well see an escalation. And in fact, just over the last few days, we've seen one of the most significant attacks by Russia on Ukraine and Ukrainian energy infrastructure.
Dr. Kupchin, while we saw declarations on the wars, talk to us about how the G20 leaders failed to reach any consensus on the stalled climate talks.
Well, again, the backdrop here is the U.S. election and the prospect of a new U.S. president who may well yet again withdraw the United States from the Paris Climate Agreement, and who has made it quite clear that he is not going to take seriously the prospect of human-induced climate change. He's appointing as the energy secretary an individual from the oil industry. He seems that he wants to go after the Environmental Protection Agency. And with the world's leading power unclear about its commitment to fight climate change, I think the G20 is in some ways in suspension, waiting to see what happens. One of the big issues that you mentioned in your setup a few minutes ago is the whole question of climate funding. Will the wealthier nations step up and meet their commitments to provide emerging powers compensation to help them with adjustments to climate change, to go green, to pursue sustainable development? It's going to be hard, I think, to see the U.S. stepping up to the plate once Trump is in power, and probably will be quite reluctant to make the kinds of financial commitments that we've seen under the Biden administration.
Dr. Charles Kupchin, thank you so much for joining us on World DNA and sharing all your thoughts on those questions. Always a pleasure speaking with you.
Good to be with you. Good night.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that his military will continue to operate against Iran-backed Hezbollah even if a ceasefire deal is reached.
Now, Netanyahu told the Israeli parliament that there was no evidence that Hezbollah would respect any truce even if it was achieved. So to keep the armed group from rebuilding, the Israeli army will be forced to ensure security in the north and systematically carry out operations against Hezbollah.
But the most important thing is not the paper of the settlement with Hezbollah, even if such a paper exists. With all due respect, the paper itself is not enough. We will be forced to ensure our security in the north and to carry out operations against Hezbollah's attacks even after a ceasefire, which no one is saying that it's going to last. It's not just about retaliation, whether preventive or in response to an attack. It's also about the ability to prevent Hezbollah from strengthening.
Meanwhile, Israel launched a new bombing raid on central Beirut on Monday, killing 5 people. Lebanon's health ministry said 31 people were wounded in the attack in densely populated residential area of Zuqaq al-Balath, which is close to the UN headquarters, Parliament, the Prime Minister's office and also several embassies.
The target of the airstrike remained unclear and the Israeli army did not issue a prior warning. The strike came following reports that the US envoy has delayed his visit for ceasefire talks. Reports said US Special Envoy Amos Hochstein was expected in the region this week. According to a Lebanese official, Lebanon's government has largely endorsed a US truce proposal to end the Israel-Hezbollah war and was preparing final comments before sending a response to Washington.
Israel staged 3 strikes in 2 days on central Beirut after weeks of air raids aimed at emptying the southern suburb stronghold of the Hezbollah group. At least 10 people were killed in Israeli strikes around central Beirut on Sunday. Hezbollah spokesperson Mohammed Hafif and 4 members of his media team were killed in one of the attacks.
Lebanese authorities say more than 3,510 people have been killed since October last year, with most casualties recorded since September. On the other hand, Hezbollah group said it launched explosive-laden drones at military targets in Tel Aviv. The militant group said it launched an air offensive with a squadron of attack drones against sensitive military points in the city of Tel Aviv.
While Israel's military said Hezbollah fired around 100 missiles into northern Israel, with some intercepted by Israel's air defenses. In Shafarim area, which is east of Israel's Haifa, a rocket hit a building and killed a woman. Paramedics say that the building suffered a direct hit and 10 people were wounded.
As the war in Ukraine completes 1,000 days, Kiev is facing its most devastating winter.
With Russian forces launching their most powerful offensive since 2022 and energy infrastructure crumbling, the nation is on the edge of survival. Our next report telling you more.
Ukrainian troops fight to hold the line as Russia unleashes its most powerful offensive in months. Kharkiv, Kherson and Sumy are under unyielding bombardment. Sumy bears the brunt, enduring over 120 missiles and 90 drone strikes, leaving towns scarred and communities shaken. Energy infrastructure, already crippled, teeters on collapse, with Ukraine now operating at just 1/3 of its pre-war electricity capacity. President Volodymyr Zelensky visits the embattled city of Pokrovsk, awarding troops who stand firm despite overwhelming odds. The symbolism is clear: Ukraine will resist.
The enemy receives a daily response from you and your comrades. Please convey my deepest gratitude to them on behalf of the entire people of Ukraine.
The US has approved Kyiv's use of long-range weapons to strike deep into Russian territory, a move cheered by some European nations.
If you're talking about the eastern members, the frontline members, the Baltic states, Poland, of course, they've been calling for this for a long time, so that they will welcome this. And I think that there's been, there's been some annoyance at Washington by having this policy, because there are a number of Central European countries, Germany in particular, who've been quite happy to kind of sit back or hide behind our policy.
Biden's big policy shift could shift the tactical landscape, but risks further escalation. While Poland and other European nations cheer the decision, caution clouds Germany's response. Berlin, Ukraine's second-largest arms supplier, is still refusing to send long-range Taurus missiles. Biden's authorization to strike Russian territory offers a glimmer of tactical hope. But on the battlefield, Russian forces continue to advance, capturing new territory on a daily basis. The big question is, how much is this a blow to Ukraine? Bureau Report, WION World is One.
Moving on, Germany and Finland have launched a probe after an undersea cable connecting the two countries was severed on Monday.
Finnish officials have raised alarms about the possibility of deliberate sabotage. The foreign ministers of both the countries issued a joint statement and said that they were deeply concerned by the cutting of the communication link between the two countries. The statement further said that the incident raises suspicions of intentional damage. They highlighted that Europe's security is under threat, not just from Russia, but also from hybrid warfare by malicious actors.
The 1,172-kilometer fiber optic cable that links Finland and Germany was cut on Monday, damaging a critical communication route between the two NATO members. Well, the cable, known as Sea Line 1, was first laid in 2016, connecting Helsinki to German city of Rostock. The Finnish network operator, has confirmed that all services linked to the cable are currently down, though there have been no immediate disruptions of internet traffic.
The head of Finland's cybersecurity center, Samuli Bergström, has reassured the public that alternative data routes were available. He further added that the incident has not yet impacted the internet services. And this comes just weeks after NATO opened a new naval base in Rostock, a move that was met with protests from Moscow, which has termed the base a violation of post-Cold War agreements. And this is the second such incident in the region. Last year, the Nord Stream pipelines were sabotaged. Jailed gangster Lawrence Bishnoi's brother Anmol has been detained in the United States, according to Mumbai police sources.
Well, Shivan, it is pertinent to note here that Anmol was wanted for the murder of NCP leader Baba Siddiqui and also firing outside actor Salman Khan's Mumbai home.
Now, according to the sources, he was also allegedly behind the firing outside Bollywood actor Salman Khan's home, as Resha just mentioned, which is located in Bandra on April 14th this year. Anmol, who was believed to be living in Canada and making regular travels to the US, is the younger brother of Lawrence Bishnoi, as we mentioned earlier, accused of running a global criminal syndicate despite being in jail. Anmol Bishnoi is wanted in connection with several criminal cases, including the murder of NCP leader, who was the former Maharashtra minister Baba Siddiqui, on the 12th of October in Mumbai's Bandra area.
Thousands of tourists from India and across the world are captivated by the chinar trees in India's Jammu and Kashmir.
With the Kashmir Valley painted entirely red, offering a scenic sight to the people, as many planned their trips only to witness the region's season of fall. WION's Idris Sloan reports from ground.
The world-famous Mughal gardens of Kashmir are covered with the leaves of the chinar trees, which looks like a red carpet has unfolded in the background of Zabarwan Hills. The Nishat Garden, Shalimar Bagh, Naseem Bagh and Chinar Bagh are witnessing a huge rush of tourists enjoying these beautiful visuals and taking photographs in these breathtaking locations. Many of these tourists have planned their visits only to witness the fall season in the valley.
It's just absolutely wonderful. I'm here with my family, came to Kashmir for the very first time, and I think we just got the best of two seasons. We saw snow in Gulmarg and Sonmarg, and in Kashmir, in Srinagar right now, it's just a lot of the maple leaves, so really, really special. It's just so peaceful that I'm just walking around, taking it all in. So,
the Jammu and Kashmir Tourism Department has been promoting autumn, locally called Harud, to tourists from across various states of the country.
I just love it because I came especially for Harud, that is the fall season, and I manifested like literally at the beginning of the year that I want to visit Kashmir during every season, because I saw it in the pictures and videos that how it looks like, the color changes, the autumn and the falling patta, anaroga patta, chinaroga, that song. I'm quite fascinated by that, that's why I'm loving it.
A huge number of social media influencers have also been making reels and videos on social media platforms this fall season in Jammu and Kashmir.
Seeing the best gardens in Kashmir, Srinagar, I would say this is the best, because it's got a lovely, time, the trees and the falls like kind of set up, and people really love the the scenic beauty of the mountains, where you can see the complete picture of how serene it is. It's peaceful.
The end of the autumn season is marked with the first snow in the Srinagar city. The higher reaches have already received snowfall. The Union Territory's Weather Department has predicted snow in the plains during the month of November as well.
The changing colors of chinar trees is one of the main attractions for tourists coming to Kashmir Valley in the autumn season. This is also one of the most favorite season of the Bollywood filmmakers to shoot in the Kashmir Valley. And that's one of the reasons that we are seeing a huge inflow of social media influencers coming to Kashmir and shooting reels among these chinar trees. With video journalist Firoz, Idris Sloan for WION World is One.
Well, it's now time for a quick short break, but don't go anywhere. On the other side of World DNA, we'll get you a story from India. India's national capital, New Delhi, woke up to another blanket of smog on Tuesday as air quality levels worsened to worrying levels.
Elon Musk-owned SpaceX has successfully launched an Indian space research organization communications satellite from Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. We'll bring you all the details on that as well. Come right back after the break. This is World DNA.
Know more, understand better, think ahead. Hello and a very warm welcome. You are watching Gravitas with me, Molly Gambhir. Get the facts, not the bombast. On the 26th of March, dynamic pricing, Baloch separatists, Gravitas cuts out the clutter. Gravitas keeps calm when others scream. Gravitas brings news to life. Weekdays, 9 p.m. IST, 3:30 p.m. GMT. Gravitas. Seeing is believing.
From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening. As we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game, we bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
WION brings you a special business talk show where we bring forth the stories of business leaders.
From breakthrough technologies to visionary leadership, we will unlock the trends, the tactics, and dive into the minds of the industry's most influential leaders.
WION brings you this special series to uncover what drives them in a candid talk show, WION Business Masters.
The Earth is sending distress signals. Wildfires, droughts, and melting glaciers. Can we reverse the damage? Explore the harrowing effects of climate change. It's a wake-up call. Global emergency. Climate Tracker on WION World is One.
WION, India's global voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide, because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION, World is One.
Welcome back. You're watching World DNA with me, Harisha and Shivan. Lots lined up on the show, but first a quick check on the headlines.
Air pollution levels remain hazardous in Delhi. Schools, colleges suspend physical classes in Indian capital and neighbouring cities amid worsening air quality.
SpaceX Falcon 9 successfully carries ISRO's communication satellite from Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida.
NASA's SpaceX 31st commercial resupply mission.
Prime Minister Modi urges G20 to focus on challenges on fuel, food and fertilizers. Holds bilateral meetings with leaders of UK, France, Italy and other countries.
G20 leaders in Brazil approve joint declaration calling for comprehensive ceasefires in Gaza and Lebanon. Welcome constructive initiatives for peace in Ukraine.
Seven policemen kidnapped in Pakistan's Bannu after attacks on police checkpost, say authorities.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel will continue military action against Hezbollah in Lebanon even after any ceasefire deal is reached.
Twenty-two-time Grand Slam champion Rafael Nadal gears up for the final tournament of his illustrious career. The 38-year-old says he aims to help Spain win the Davis Cup in Malaga.
India's national capital, New Delhi, woke up to another blanket of smog today after air quality levels worsened past 60 times the World Health Organization's recommended maximum limit on Monday.
Now, pollution extended across North Indian states like Haryana, Punjab, Rajasthan and others, with AQI dropping to worrying levels. At least 17 of the 37 stations which measure air quality in Delhi, they maxed out at 500 by 6 a.m. on Tuesday morning, that is today, as per the data by Central Pollution Control Board. Now, most of the other stations showed the air quality level in the range of 490 to 499. The air quality index maintained by CPCB only shows data with an upper limit of 500. Amid worsening air quality levels, all physical classes have been suspended for students in the city's schools, including classes 10 and 12. Now, the neighbouring city of Gurugram has also decided to switch fully to online classes till the 23rd of November. Delhi University and Jawaharlal Nehru University have also decided to conduct classes online for this week.
The Supreme Court on Monday directed Delhi and NCR states to strictly implement Stage 4 of the Graded Response Action Plan anti-pollution measures. It has also ordered the continuation of GRAP Stage 4 measures even if the AQI falls below 450. This decision follows a sharp rise in Delhi's daily average AQI on Sunday. Other Indian cities have also seen drop in air quality levels. Telling you more about this, the AQI in Uttar Pradesh's Hapur was registered at 436 on Monday, whereas AQI in Haryana's Bhiwani was at 419. Other Indian cities that showed an AQI of over 400 were Rajasthan's Bhiwani and several areas of Delhi NCR. And well, for more on this, we are now being joined by our correspondent Dharamjot Kaur. She's joining us live from New Delhi. Hi Dharamjot. India's national capital, New Delhi's AQI is hovering in the severe plus category. Talk to us about the measures put in place, as many say that New Delhi has now become a gas chamber.
Well, you're absolutely right, Rayesha. That is the scenario that has been on the ground for the past few days. It indeed feels like a gas chamber. A lot of groups, vulnerable groups that are suffering, also bearing the brunt of this year after year. As far as the measures are concerned, Rayesha, as we've been talking about it since yesterday, schools have been shut, including classes, physical classes for 10th and 12th. The Delhi University campus where I'm standing right now is completely empty because DU has also shut physical classes and has taken the online route for the rest of the week till Saturday, November 23rd. Physical classes will resume in the university on Monday next week. Other universities like JNU have also taken the similar route. They've all gone online as of the remaining of this week to ensure that there is minimal issues and minimal damage that residents of Delhi, especially the students, have to undergo. Now, with respect to that, as you mentioned correctly, the Supreme Court has come down very heavily on the state government and other authorities with respect to how the measures have been taken fairly late. As I've been talking with before as well, they've been termed as reactionary measures, and they're looking at kind of amping up and taking certain additional steps to ensure that the pollution level doesn't worsen and it is curtailed, and hopefully it gets better from here on. There's also a static anti-smog pilot program that has been launched, Raisha, that I'd quickly talk about. The Delhi governor launched it yesterday, where they're trying a pilot project whereby sprinklers in several public places are being installed to use water, treated water, as a mechanism of reducing dust particles and pollutants in the air. How much that has an impact over the next few days, that is something we'll have to wait and watch. As you also rightly mentioned, GRAP 4 measures are in place, which means that commercial construction has been prohibited. Trucks carrying non-essential supplies will not be allowed entry into the National Capital Region as well, Raisha.
All right, Dharamjot, thanks so much for getting us the latest from the South Campus. And as you correctly mentioned earlier as well, you know, these are reactionary measures. I think what we need going forward is something that is put in place before and enforced, because rules are there. Supreme Court is coming down heavily on all these states, which are, you know, collectively, I would say, responsible at this point, and something needs to be done so that every year, October and November doesn't look like this. It's not a hazy morning that we're seeing every day. That was Dharamjot Kaur getting us the latest from South Campus in Delhi University. All right, moving further from here, the stage is set for a political showdown in India's Maharashtra. Assembly elections will be held on the 20th of November.
And votes will be counted on November 23rd. The western state, home to India's financial capital Mumbai, will witness an intense battle between two multi-party alliances. Campaigning for all political parties came to an end earlier yesterday, where 6 major parties in the state are pitted against each other as a part of 2 larger umbrella alliances. Defending their position of power is the Mahayuti alliance led by the Bharatiya Janata Party. The breakaway factions of Shiv Sena led by Eknath Shinde and NCP led by Ajit Pawar are also part of the bloc.
In the opposition, fighting for a return to power is the MVA, Mahavikas Aghadi alliance led by Congress. The Uddhav Thackeray-led Shiv Sena and Ajit Pawar's NCP are a part of this alliance as well. 288 assembly seats are up for elections across 26 districts in Maharashtra. The state has over 90 million registered voters who will exercise their ballot in a single-phase election. More than 100,000 polling stations are being set up ahead of the November 20th election.
A lot has changed in Maharashtra's political landscape in the past 2 years, following the split in Shiv Sena and NCP. And this is where the numbers currently stand. Out of a total of 288 seats, BJP has 103. Followed by Congress and Ajit Pawar's NCP at 43 each. Shinde's Shiv Sena has 40, the Thackeray faction of Shiv Sena has 15, and Sharad Pawar's NCP has 10. In the first, American firm SpaceX has launched a satellite built by the India Space Agency.
Elon Musk owned successfully launched Indian Space Research Organization ISRO's communications satellite GSAT-N2 from Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. The advanced communication satellite was launched using a Falcon 9 rocket, and this is the first time that a satellite built by the Indian Space Research Organization ISRO is flying on Elon Musk-owned company's rocket. The GSAT-20 is a high-capacity communication satellite that can offer broadband services. This satellite is fully owned, operated and funded by New Space India Limited, the commercial arm of the Indian government-run space agency ISRO. ISRO uses French commercial launch service provider Arianespace for such heavy satellite launches. However, the company does not have any operational rockets currently to launch a massive payload, 4,700 kilogram in the case of the GSAT N2 satellite. And India's launch vehicle LVM-3 can also carry payloads up to 4,000 kgs. Hence, SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket was chosen to launch the satellite. It was a high-octane chase and the videos were seen widely on social media. The Indian Coast Guard has rescued 7 Indian fishermen from a Pakistani ship.
The Indian Coast Guard's ship, Agrim, chased behind Pakistan's Maritime Security Agency boat PMS Nusrat for 2 hours in a bid to rescue Indian fishermen. Indian Coast Guard officials persuaded Pakistani personnel on board to release the fishermen on the Pakistan boat.
The incident took place on Sunday when the Indian ship intercepted the Pakistani vessel near the maritime boundary of both nations off the coast of India's western state of Gujarat. This is not the first time that local fishermen have been captured by the other country, as many mistakenly float beyond the designated maritime areas. For years now, fishermen have been languishing the prisons of India and Pakistan.
As of June this year, 245 Indian or believed to be Indian civilian prisoners and fishermen are languishing in Pakistani jails. On the other hand, 452 Pakistani or believed to be Pakistani civilian prisoners and fishermen have been jailed in India. Both the nations have participated in repatriation initiatives to release the prisoners. Moving on, Super Typhoon Manye has left a trail of devastation across the Philippines over the weekend.
At least 8 people have been killed and many communities are in ruins after the powerful storm swept through the country.
The typhoon made its first landfall in the Catanduanes on Saturday night, bringing winds of 185 kilometers per hour. By Sunday, it struck Aurora province with sustained winds of 165 kilometers per hour and gusts as strong as 275 kilometers per hour.
Isip po namin na magiging ganyan na po yung bahay namin. Kasi nga po, malakas nga daw po. Signal number 4. Tapos yung pag-uwi po namin ganyan na. Saan po kami ditutuloy pansamantala?
Torrential rains caused severe flooding and landslides, leaving towns like Nueva submerged in water. Residents woke up to knee-high floods, muddy conditions and extensive damage to homes and infrastructure. Many families have been left displaced. More than 1 million people were forced to evacuate as the typhoon swept across the main island of Luzon.
Officials report widespread damage to roads, bridges and buildings in the storm's path. The local government has appealed for aid to help communities recover. Many residents are in need of urgent assistance to rebuild their homes and lives. This marks the 6th typhoon to hit the Philippines in just 1 month. On an average, 20 storms strike the Philippines each year, bringing heavy rain, strong winds and deadly landslides. As cleanup operations continue, officials are working to assess the full extent of the damage. Relief efforts are now underway to help the affected communities.
In China, the rise of the companion chat economy reflects a growing societal shift as loneliness becomes a pressing issue, especially among younger generations.
Social platforms are seeing a surge in users offering paid conversations with millions of views under the hashtag companion chat. As China's single population increases with 134 million unmarried people aged between 20 to 49, the demand for emotional relationship or companionship has spiked. According to China's Ministry of Civil Affairs, Marriage registrations have dropped by nearly 50% in the past decade, further fueling the growth of this sector, which is expected to be worth up to $7 billion by 2025.
This growing companionship economy encompasses both digital and human interactions. Video games which simulate romantic relationships have become increasingly popular, generating hundreds of millions of yuan in revenue. Major developers have tapped into this trend with interactive story-driven games, especially appealing to younger, tech-savvy individuals. Alongside these games, AI-powered chatbots and with customizable personalities are gaining traction, offering users a more immersive and personalized experience.
I don't think any of the companions or the lovers in real life are perfect, but I can create the intelligent agents according to my preferences. I can define their personalities and experiences and the kind of storyline I can develop with them. So I think they have given me a lot of emotional comfort during my free periods at school.
The paid companionship sector also includes individuals offering their services informally. While some clients seek romantic interaction, many are simply looking for someone to talk to. This informal market highlights the increasing commercialization of social relationships and suggests that the companionship economy in China will continue to expand, driven by changing social norms, declining marriage rates, and also a growing need for connection in today's age and time. The enthusiasm sparked by Trump's victory is seesawing since late last week.
Well, the S&P 500 lost a third of its post-election gains and ended lower last week, while the Nasdaq 100 experienced a 4-day decline. However, the narrative shifted slightly on Monday, even as near-record prices of assets across the board did not deter investors.
In the innovative realm of cryptocurrencies, investors keep moving the goalpost higher. Despite Bitcoin's retreat from Wednesday's record peak, it has remained over 30% higher since the US polls. On Monday, the OG token resumed its surge. Wall Street stocks, on the other hand, floundered as benchmark treasury yields held close to 4.5%.
A metric created by Owen Lamont, a portfolio manager at Acadian Asset Management, is to assess the current state of animal spirits. Well, the previous finance educator monitors the comparative performance of two stocks. Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway, a well-known entity that focuses on traditional companies, contrasts sharply with Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy, which has gained notoriety for his bold investments in Bitcoin. Referred to as the Saylor-Buffett ratio, this metric offers insight into the prevailing sentiments of fear and greed in the market.
Although Berkshire has increased by
Although Berkshire has increased by 31% this year, outperforming benchmark indices like the S&P 500, it falls short when compared to MicroStrategy at this moment. Saylor's MicroStrategy has experienced an impressive increase of over 400%, driven by the ongoing surge in cryptocurrencies. In Buffett versus Saylor, the comparative performance currently contributes to the indication of an overheated market. Due to MicroStrategy's improved returns, the Saylor-Buffett ratio has surged to heights not seen since the year 2000. While the internet frenzy characterized the dot-com era, the current landscape also reveals the speculation remains robust for emerging investments such as Bitcoin and artificial intelligence.
According to Owen Lamont, that surge in the ratio conveys a concerning indication. Lamont said, if we look at the big picture, I'm not sure that we've reached extreme conditions just yet. Regarding the crypto and AI bubbles, he said, I don't know if we are in an AI bubble, but it sure feels like we are in a crypto bubble. Right now, we have two largely different narrative streams, AI and crypto. If these two streams cross, it would be bad. Overall, Lamont concludes that the recent increase in the Saylor-Buffett ratio is one of the many small pieces of evidence that all seem to be pointing in the same direction. The market is getting frothy.
Let us now take a look at the developments from technology, starting with India's central bank. The Reserve Bank of India is all set to launch affordable cloud storage for financial firms in 2025. The RBI will reportedly work with local IT firms for the development of the cloud platform. The aim is to challenge the dominance of international cloud service providers such as Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud and IBM Cloud. As per the reports, the company is vying for the contract will be required to set up data center facilities in Mumbai and Hyderabad, with India's cloud services market currently dominated by foreign players. RBI's affordable cloud storage project aims to localize payments and finalize data and reduce reliance on foreign cloud providers while ensuring compliance with India's data sovereignty laws.
The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration in the US has recalled around 112,500 Ford SUVs due to concerns with seat belt retractors. The agency has reported receiving 3 complaints about the issue. Reports now suggest that the seat belt retractor pre-tensioner is getting activated automatically, thereby producing a loud noise followed by the seat belt tightening rapidly and locking in place. In certain collisions, the pre-tensioner's job is to ensure that the seat belt fit firmly against the occupant's body. The investigation affects 2019 and the 2020 Ford Expedition models and their luxury counterpart. Let's now see what's making news in the world of sports. Italy are back in the final of the Billie Jean King Cup for a second year in a row after defeating Poland 2-1. Lucia Bronzetti took the opening singles rubber for Italy. Poland's world number 2, Iga Świątek, then fought back from a seed down to defeat Jasmine Paolini and take the tie to a